So let's see, we've got mid-air heavy state. So let me go see if I can understand what this is now. Mid-air heavy state occurs when you whip on the last frame of a jump. What do you mean by the last frame of a jump? Like when you let go of jump? Do a 2-frame jump and see how your velocity behaves. Then do a 2-frame jump where you whip on the second frame of the jump. Do I need to release jump on that same frame? So like I press whip on the frame that I let go of jump or one frame before that. Let's try a couple. I know that those jumps are different. This is actually something that I need to do research in for my tasks because it might be useful, but I haven't actually figured out all the rules for how it works. Well, first of all, this is a 1-frame jump that I just did right here. I press jump for a single frame. And then I fall like that. This is... I kind of wish I had the path from the task tool. I wonder if I should set that up. You release jump on the frame after you whip. Okay, let's see. All right, let's get a baseline here. 1-frame jump. Yeah, you can see the weird path that's taking. Let's get the task tool. We're going to use the task tool for the path functionality so that I can actually see what the path looks like. Now let me close all this entity tester garbage. We don't need this right now. Yeah, this is a bug, by the way, with the UI is getting all fucked up like that. It's problematic to solve it, and I will probably have to do something else to deal with that, and that might still be in the release. It's very hard to fix that without an Spelunky change. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and whip up a task. So, let's make a new one. And we're going to do a little bit of jump testing here, because this will be a very easy way to play back to them. This is another thing you could do with the task tool. And let's just see, let's compare these like jump whips that we were doing here. I don't know if I'll be saving this or not, but let's see. Simple start, dwelling, seated. Just start on the one that we know has a jetpack or something. Actually, I want to start on the left side of the level, so I'm just going to try seeds until I start on the left side. I don't think anybody redeemed a new character, so let's keep playing this one. And we don't care about any of this crap. Alright, let's check the level and see what we got. I don't like this one. I'd rather start in the middle of the level, actually. So the seed 1 starts on the right. Okay, this is a good one. We can do it from here. Actually, no, I don't want to be on this one with the ladder. I hate having this ladder here. Let's keep going. That's why we need a seed finder. Like, seed finder is not on my to-do list. Or? Oh my god, all these seeds are awful. What I'm trying to get is the pedestal in the middle of the room is what I'm looking for right now, because that's the easiest one to initialize all these jumps off of. And unfortunately, I just have to guess and check seeds until I find one. And every single fucking dwelling level wants to spawn me on this shitty starting tile that nobody likes. You know what? Whatever. This is good enough. This is good enough. We're gonna run with this one. Alright, so we need to normalize our position. Alright, and now we can start comparing jumps. So we have a normalized setup that our task can get us to, and let's just make a tagged frame here and then observe the height of the jump. Hopefully nothing crashes or breaks or anything while I'm doing this. So I should be able to play back to this exact frame, and what I want to do after that is I want to switch to recording. And I don't want to delete the prior task. Alright. So I should be able to play back to this frame. Expected end of level. Yeah, there's another bug. I think I can get it to do that if I just make it start from the beginning. Yeah, there we go. See, there we go. That's a third bug. This is why the task tool is not out yet. Alright, so let's perform the jump that we're talking about. So the first one is the baseline jump. I'm going to hold right and I'm going to press jump for 1 frame and then I'm going to land. Let's see where this gets us. We'll do 1 frame. I'm trying to get a baseline on the height here. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm trying to understand the variation in jump heights, just in general. Okay, and we just touched the ground. So this is what a 1 frame jump looks like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a rope over here. And I'm going to use that rope to like jump back over. And we're going to do a few different frame perfect jumps. And we're just going to kind of see like how they look when they're overlaid on top of each other. So the reason for the rope is that I just want to go up and over the top so I don't draw a line on top of the other path. I guess for anyone who's curious, you can... I actually didn't show this tool during the showcase. I forgot about it because it was hidden. You can also see the frames for your tasks like individually. It's a little bit difficult to watch all this because there's a lot of these overlays. Let me just put it over this one. If you're curious what frames I'm inputting, pay attention to this thing on the right. Because this is showing exactly what I'm doing on each frame. I'm trying to get the height so you can see the whole thing without scrolling. There we go. I also enhanced this menu considerably. I completely forgot to show this when I was showcasing the task tool. Okay, we've landed again. Alright, close. In very, like, precise details, what buttons do I need to press on each frame to do the jump that you're talking about? I'm going to be holding right the whole time that I do it. Jump, jump whip, and then free fall. Alright, so holding right. Jump. Still holding jump, add a whip, you can see it there, it looks like exactly what you wanted, and then free fall. Yeah, you get a really weird looking short hop from that. Like somehow you hold jump for 2 frames, but you fall even faster than you would normally. This is something I think I use in my low percent task, but never understood why this happens. And I do believe it matters when you like press whip relative to your jump. But if you do it on the first frame, I don't think it happens. So let me detach the player 1 thing so we can look at the velocity. We'll replay this to like analyze it properly, but this is what I wanted to do with the task tool here, because now we have these paths. You can see the second jump that we did was the weird whip jump, where despite holding it for 2 frames, we just fall faster. Somehow, we hit the ground way sooner than we would have before. Then I go back over the top. And there's another jump I want to look at here. I wasn't holding down when I did that. So where's the dog? I don't want that dog barking the whole time. Get out of here. There's an Amogus over there. Hey, post the Amogus on Reddit. No one has ever seen this before. It's definitely put it on Reddit. You get all sorts of karma for doing that. Just wait for the last one to be like a week old and then post the Mogus. Become internet famous. Alright, so we hit the ground again. So here's what happens if you do a 1 frame jump and whip while holding right. Which you would think would be a shorter jump. But it's not. It's actually identical to the first jump that we did. It has something to do with being in the jumping state and then whipping to change your jumping state into the attacking state instead. But this is identical to my first 1 frame jump. There is something that happens as a result of whipping that doesn't happen normally. I don't really care what that one is. I want to remove this particular jump, so let me go back to here before we input it. Oh, I have it in presentation mode, so the paths are gone. Okay, so we're back in this spot, and you can see the jump is coming up in the frame viewer. When you're not like following the current frame here, you can stick through these. This is much better than the last time I showed this viewer, but you can actually skim all the frames that you have recorded for a particular run. You can also edit like individual ones if you want to just shift like when a whip happens without having to record over it. It's essentially just a crude text editor, but for the purposes of changing what inputs you do during a frame. This is probably not going to get much polish before the release. It's a lot better than it used to be. In this case, I'm just using it to view the frames though, so we don't really care about editing. And I can snap it back to the current frame. And if you have this checked, then when you're playing back your run, it'll center itself on the current frame. So I could see I'm going to whip in a couple frames and do that jump. So we have these two weird ones here. This jump, and then the other one here. Are there any other jump scenarios that I could check? The thing is, the jump scenario I just did is the heavy state jump, where if you're bouncing off of something, you just like you fall a little bit faster. That's the jump and whip on the same frame thing, but I'm not sure if that cares like when you release jump or when you release your whip button. I'm fairly certain that when you release whip is unimportant for any of these jumps, but when you release your jump button probably matters. I'm gonna jump and then whip. I'm gonna do a one frame jump and then whip afterward. Let's see what that does. Jump, whip, and then jump. Oh, like still hold it. Let's do mine first, and then we'll try yours. So I'm gonna jump, and then I'm gonna release jump and press whip on the frame after that. I want to see if that is any different. So let's see. So we're gonna jump, and we're gonna whip. And then we're going to overwrite that frame with nothing. Oh, no, look at that, look at that. Look at the one I just did. Look at how much lower that was. That was a one frame jump followed by a whip input. It's even lower than the one that you're talking about. This is, I think, the jump I was doing during my tasks when I needed to get a low hop or something. All right, that's an interesting one. We're going to keep that one. So let's go back up to the rope and wrap back over the top. But yeah, that is an extremely low jump, but it requires a one frame jump, which is going to be very difficult for most people to do in a real run. So I need to turn myself to the right real quick. There we go. Okay, you didn't expect that. I mean, it's hard to test it, like in a real run. So let's see here. What is the next jump on our list here? So that's the lowest one I have. Like each of these could have different applications depending on your velocity. We don't have an easy way to really see the velocity here. I'm just trying to figure out which jumps are different. So the very first jump that I did was a 2-frame jump without a whip input. The second one was a 2-frame jump, but the last frame was also a whip input. And then this one was a 1-frame jump and then a whip input. And now I'm gonna do jump whip and then just jump. You think it'll be the same? I think it will be as well. And I think that's because the state is, let's see what the state does. So let's do a jump whip. I think jump whip is the same as a jump as far as this game is concerned. So let's do a jump whip. It didn't go into the jumping state. Well, I'm gonna hold jump for the next frame. Okay, we just go straight to the attacking state for this one. Let's see what trajectory we got. Really, it's really high. I think that's just a normal 2-frame jump. Very hard to catch everything that I want to here. I'm running out of screen real estate. No, we don't really need this one right now. Let me just put this on top. Different because it causes a regular heavy state with a trajectory. Oh man, it's getting confusing. In the position in the pick you sent, you can whip the arrow and Oh, is the thing you linked me earlier? Oh, okay, you're talking about the ledge hang? Like from that ledge hang? An 8-frame jump where the last frame has a whip input as well. Okay, I'll have to look at that. I think really what's going on here is we need to like break down what the game engine is actually doing to understand these jump heights, which I may or may not want to do on stream, because there's a lot that goes into the jump mechanics of this game, including like the mystique of heavy state and like what set of flags actually causes that. And what I think it all boils down to is how your velocity is affected on every frame. Because you accelerate differently depending on like this combination of whipping and jumping states. I still don't actually know why heavy state exists. Let's see, let me finish this jump and wrap back around. It's another sample to add to the mess. Yeah, that's the highest one so far. That was jump, whip, and then jump to get that particular one. Yeah, what I really need is the ability to query the velocity at each of these. That's a feature I would want to add, like the ability to mouse over one of these little points and have it tell you the player position and velocity at that point. But I can't keep adding stuff to the task tool, as useful as it would be for this kind of thing. So we're gonna have to make do with the tools that we have right now, because I don't have an easier way to like readably track the velocity, and it's very hard to tell like what's going on with this. But let's think about this. Okay, which of these do we want to try, I guess, is the question. Let's do the... I want to stop it here. I think I'm going to stop the task here, and we're just going to monitor velocities. Because I can line myself up with this. So I'm going to switch to free play mode. We're no longer recording the task. Let me save this. This actually could be useful in the future. Let me save this task. I've got to fix that bug. Alright, this is just jump tests. Go ahead and save that. Okay, good. Saving. Where'd my paths go? I hope I didn't just delete the task. This is the kind of bug that I'm worried about. I mean, we don't really need the task. Did I hit the new? I hit the new button, didn't I? Did I straight up misclick it? Nah, whatever. We got the gist of it. It's not terribly important. We got the gist of what I was trying to go for with that, which is that they all have different arcs. And I think what we really need to do is, like, figure out what influences it. Where's this fucking dog? Stop making noise. Yeah, whatever. I'm not too torn up about that. That was user error. Again, there's no prompts for, like, whether or not you wanted to save your run ahead of time, because that's polish that I haven't added, and I just bit myself in the ass by doing it. I'll get over it. So let's worry about what we were trying to do here, which is understanding a little bit of the physics behind this. So for a basic, let's first analyze what happens with a basic jump. I can close all the task tool stuff now. I don't need these open. I'll fix all my windows another time. Alright, so with a basic jump, what happens is your velocity... Let me reset this. Your Y position starts at 0.05, and then you press jump. On the initial frame, the game gives you the velocity for your jump, but doesn't apply it to your character. It gets applied after your character moves on that particular frame. So there's always a 1 frame delay for your jump. And then what the game does is it decreases your velocity by the force of gravity, which is 0.01 under most circumstances, and then it adds it to your position. And that's what we're going to see happen the whole way through here. Except why is there crust on that? Hold on. I think I let go of jump for a frame. Why is there... That's not quite right. Why is there crust on my position? That doesn't usually happen. I'm holding jump right now while I do this. That's bizarre. Does that normally happen? Am I losing my mind? Why are there extra, like, loading point errors on my position right now? Let me get the full position. I might be doing something wrong on my end. I'm completely, like, willing to accept that. So let's look at it here. Oh, that's about the same precision, actually. Can I get the full one from this? Yeah, here it is. Okay, here's the full position. That's a lot of crust. This doesn't feel right. What's my velocity? Unfortunately, it's hard to look at these. Huh. It just doesn't... I don't know. I did a bunch of testing with this. And I don't know why my jump is giving me this speed. Unless I did something weird in this level that's affecting it. Every time I've ever checked this, this has always been a really well-rounded number. And for some reason it has a significant amount of, like, computation error to it. Like, more than I would have expected. Let's do an instant restart. Let's see if we've got any other factors playing into this. No, I might just be insane. Maybe it has always been a little bit off like this and I've just never noticed. Well, I guess this is the number that we have to work with here. That's irritating. If anybody else could think of anything that would be affecting this, I'd be interested in knowing. Unless the camera zoom affects it, which it shouldn't. Yeah, it's not the camera zoom. Alright, well, we just have to roll with what we got then. So it is going down by a consistent value every time gravity gets applied to it while you're holding the jump button. And then you fall at the same speed, 0.01 per frame. So you hit the ground. So that's a normal jump. And the way that this game does, like, short hops is when you release your jump button early, your gravity increases until you start falling. So what I mean by that is, so I held jump for 5 frames there, and I'm going to let go of it. And what's going to happen here is this velocity is not going to go to 0.13. It's going to go to 0.104. So instead of 0.13, we went down by 0.028 instead of the 0.1 that we would normally go down. Let me double check the math on this. Yeah, we were expecting it to go down to 0.12, but it actually went down to... It went down by 0.026 is just the number that it decreased. And that's kind of like, I think, the gist of heavy state, is that you keep this downward acceleration for your entire jump arc, but as the result of some, like, extra jank. 0.26 extra? Or do you, I mean, it's 0.016 extra on top of the base gravity, which is probably how the game is calculating it. Let's do that again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's extra. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, it's 0.36 in total. Yeah, I went from that. You would expect 0.13 if I hold jump, and that's what you get. But if I don't hold jump, I get that. So yeah, it adds an additional bit to it. So it's the 0.01 from gravity and then an additional 0.26. And that's how the game makes your jump feel shorter. It doesn't actually change the initial velocity of your jump, you just fall faster. I am tired of having a level where there's a dog barking at me while I do it, so let's just test it over here. There's a cat in this level. Oh, whatever. Problem is if I instant restart, stupid. Just turn on pest control. All these cute, adorable pets. Well, let's get rid of them. Alright, so we just need to test some jump science now. There should be no more dog. Peace and quiet at last. I check the second frame. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do in a moment. I made a pest control script. Sure did. It's literally for science, so that I don't have to listen to the fucking dog barking at me while I'm trying to, like, explain something on stream, and I'm not getting attacked by, like, moles and bats. because every enemy in this game is just annoying when you're trying to like actually talk about something, and they're just making noise and doing things the whole time. So I have a script that just deletes every enemy from the level if I activate it, because I don't know, I can't deal with it. So let's go back to this. We'll go full velocity down here. Actually, I think full precision on position will be more important. I can't really show both of these easily, but this will be good enough. You can get the gist of it from these three figures of precision. Well, technically it's 6, but whatever. Anyways, what do we want to do here? So let's draw out that jump for a little bit longer. So we do that, let go. So what happens on the next frame? I think we go down by another 0.36. If I had to guess, but I don't know for sure. So we're expecting 0.068 if we take the same deceleration, and we don't. It's different. So it's a multiplier. That's interesting. You're not expecting it. Well, you were absolutely correct. It's something different. I wonder if we can like suss out what it is then. All right, let's do a 1 frame jump to simplify this. So what's it going to be on the next frame then? 0.44, but I think it's actually more complicated. The fact that it's a multiplier definitely makes this weirder. Okay, let's do a little bit of math here. So we know that our initial velocity. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Gonna just use 1. All right, so our initial velocity is that, or not bx, vy. That's our initial velocity that we're interested in here, and then 1 frame later, without holding jump, we get our second one. So these are the 2 numbers that we're looking at here, and you're saying that it's probably a multiplier. I'm wondering what the math is behind this then. Because these numbers are wild. They're kind of all over the place. Let's get a 3. All right, and then that's our third one, and that's the value that we got. So like these are all over the damn place. What is the pattern here? I'm assuming this is something to do with like subtracts 0.01 and then multiply by some like fixed constant. Okay, I think that's what I was saying. Let's try that out then. Looks like you figured something out. So yeah, this would be the gravity being applied, and then yeah, that's no, not that. That right there. So that's gravity applied to the first frame of jump. And then if you are not holding jump, it looks like it drags you down. But you think it multiplies twice. Well, let's see. We have all the numbers ahead of us. And that, to reasonable floating point precision, gives us the next value in the sequence. All right, looks like we got it. And then this one, and that's the next value in the sequence. Now let's see it through the whole way. So let's predict our next value. So it should be that, 0.07279. And sure enough, you can see that that's what it is over here. I want to see when it stops doing it is the other thing I'm interested in. So VY4. This is a situation where it would be much better if I had like actual tooling to brute force these, but this is really the best that I've got right now. We've got our next velocity, which is going to be... Yep, this tracks. Okay, so we can skip a few of these. Let's see what happens when we get near the end. All right, so that's the last one here. I wonder what's going to happen on this frame then. So VY, I don't know what this one is called. A. End. E for end. Can you type for loops? Yeah, you can. Like, I could iterate over this and generate all the values, but what I'm trying to do is just kind of... Like, that's not really what I'm out to do, I suppose. I could generate a table of these values once we get the formula, but I just want to know what the secret formula is. Like, that's really what we're interested in right now. And then later on, like, me or somebody else could, like, compile, like, a visual of, like, exactly what the jump arcs are. And then maybe we could discern, like, how to use them to get into specific, like, arrow whip setups. But for now, I just want to get the formula and understand why this, like, ultra heavy state exists. When, by all accounts, it shouldn't matter if you whip or not. And yet, for some reason, that makes you fall even faster. Alright, so anyways, here we are on this one. VY on step 2.7, I don't... Oh, okay, I get it. Yep, it took a second. Funny. This is a thing. Huh. Really? I don't even know how Lua does this, honestly. Is this log base 10? I don't know what the... I was just trying to type out E. I don't remember how to actually derive E. Whatever. Anyway, the joke's over. Bad math jokes. Anyways, what am I doing here? Actually, ln of 1 wouldn't have even given me E. You think that's what it is? Oh. Exponential function. There it is. All right, got it. It's E. It was an exponential function, so just exponential to the 1 is E to the first power. That's what we were after. I guess you have to use log 10. It's like log E divided by log 10 or some shit. I don't fucking remember how to do that. It's been so goddamn long. There's a way to use the logarithm of any number to get to any other number's logarithm. It's a division operation. I don't remember what the order of it is because I have not had to do it in a really long time. Whatever, that was the joke. That was the VYE joke there. The joke is gone. You think the log function has a base operator for it? Out of x over b. Yeah, so I think with log 10 you could do the same thing. So like you could use log 10 of x over log 10 of b to get the logarithm for that base, like whatever it happens to be. Now let's see. I just don't know if Lua has an argument for that or not. I don't know how the log operator works in Lua because I'm too lazy to look up the documentation for it. So I'm assuming that this is base 10. Well, we can find out. Or is that... No, is that E? No, that is E. Why the fuck did they call it log and not ln then? Literally, this is called ln in every other language that exists. It's ln. Why'd they call it log? Whatever. In my mind, it's always been ln. And then log is usually base 10 or provides an operator. I don't know why Lua did it like this. Maybe I'm the weird one. I have no idea. Math people just call it log. I've always thought that ln was the name of this operator. And if you see a log in a programming language, usually there's like a parameter where you could pick like which base you want for it. Well, either way, I don't think it matters. I think you could do it with any log, but this is what we got. Log is used for ln and Mathematica. Whatever. Look, I got a minor in mathematics and a major in computer science, alright? So when I see ln, I think, oh, it's E. It's that particular logarithm. And when I see log, it's usually base 10. Unless it's labeled as like log 2 or something. But maybe I'm the uninformed person here. Maybe I don't know enough about math to be qualified to complain about this. Whatever, this is irrelevant to what we were doing. But I'm used to ln, so that's why I was confused by that. Anyways, all this because of a stupid joke. VOE. Alright, so this was our velocity right there. Epic tangent indeed. We go on a lot of tangents here. I'm well known for those. I need to get back to the jump that I was at before. Jump for 1 frame. Alright, so we have this. The question is, what velocity are we going to get next? I think it only applied the decrease. Let's just call this F. because it's the next letter in the alphabet. God, I love naming things. And let's compare them. I think we already know where this is going, but I'd like to check anyways. Yep, alright. Euler's number. Only logs were related to tangents. I mean, they are? Not a constructive. Whatever that fucking, like, Euler formula is, that shit for, like, 1 equals e to the I theta something. There's some, I don't remember what it is anymore. There's, like, some combination formula that, like, includes all the trig functions in it. Just like this ultra formula, and I'm pretty sure that has an e in it, and therefore you could somehow turn that into like a natural log or something. I don't know. All the science is keeping the whole building awake. Well, I hope they don't know that you're the one watching my stream then. Also, I don't know how I'm keeping the whole building awake. You might want to turn the stream down. Processing JS also calls it log. Okay, well maybe where I saw ln was on a calculator, and I just assumed that that's what I should have expected. I think I'm the problem here. Like, if everybody else calls it log, and without a base it's implied to be natural log, then maybe I'm the problem here. I'm willing to accept that. So, what we got out of this is that we now know what the Krabby Patty secret formula is. When you are not holding your, like, jump button down, the game applies a deceleration formula to your jump. Where every frame it decreases it by gravity, which is 0.01. Like, of course, the thing you typed earlier, I think there's supposed to be a 0.01 mixed into that. But it looks like, yeah, it's a 0.01 off of your velocity, and then they multiply the whole thing by 0.8 if it is not less than 0. There it is. Yeah, OK has it. And then I think that E thing with the I pi thing, you can expand that into a sine and a cosine like identity. And it like has some tie-in with like the Pythagorean theorem. There's some weird shit you can do with that. Like there's a version of that with sine and cosine that you can also do. I think it's like sine like pi theta times I, or no, it's like cosine. Yeah, it's like cosine I. What the hell is it? It's cosine pi theta plus sine, or plus I times sine pi theta equals 1 or some shit. I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long. I had to learn this stuff, but it was never that useful. Cosine theta plus I sine theta. Yeah, what does that equal to? What's on the other side of the equation? I'm trying to remember like what the full derivation was for this. And this is just like the ultra Pythagorean theorem or some shit. Because it ends up like being closely related to that. Okay, it equals e to the I theta. Okay. That looks right, so I'm very much willing to take your word for it. And like you could use all this shit to somehow just connect like all these math formulas together. This is really cool for mathematicians, but in my case, I'm just gonna go to Wolfram Alpha and look up how they derived this equation, because this was the stuff that I didn't like. I got to this point and I was like, this is all theory. This is just beyond me. I just don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to actually just apply the mathematics, and I will learn specific subsets of this problem if I need them for whatever problem I need to solve at the time. But learning this just for the sake of learning it just wasn't interesting to me. So that's why I just went for a minor in math. This stuff is fascinating, and I could probably figure out how this worked if I actually just looked into it, because I think some of it would come back from the classes I had to learn, but right now it's gone. Like, I've completely like forgotten it. I know it exists, but don't remember like any of it and like how it's actually derived. Funny math. All right, so anyways, we got our formula. Now the question is, what the fuck is going on when you jump and whip? So what was the sequence of events? We figured out, oh my god, I think the volume thing actually kicked in there. So what we figured out was if you jump for 1 frame and then whip on the next frame after releasing jump, you get an insanely short hop. So let's do that. There's our jump. You can see my velocity changed. I haven't moved yet. And then on the next frame, I'm going to press whip. So that is the first value I think we had in our little sequence here. That's VY2. So on that first frame, nothing happened. But now we're in the attacking state instead of the jumping state. So what do we got next? 0.81, as opposed to what we had here. Instead, we have this different value. That's specifically what it is. So can we discern what's going on here? And you think it's stacking. So let's try that out. So we know what the previous value was. It was VY2. So we're going to multiply that. We're going to subtract out the normal like velocity change that happens from gravity. And then you think that it's stacked. And this is what happened. Wait, am I... Well, that doesn't seem right. Or... Okay, no, hold on. Something's not right here. I think I'm... Let's see, we subtract the value from VY2. Is this it? Wait, hold on. Wait, oh, that is it. Okay, I was looking at the wrong number. Yeah, that is it. Okay, so you're right, it stacks. This is what would have happened if I hadn't whipped. And then this, which you'd simplify to that. Why would it do that? Okay, and that's identical. I was looking at the wrong number. This is the velocity that we got now. So it stacks. And what that means is on this next frame, this number is going to be... This should be this number right here. And it is. This is also the difference between short hop and heavy state. Well, I think we've been muddying up the definition of this, or at least I know I have. You think heavy state uses the 0.64? So my understanding has always been that heavy state is initiated by jumping and whipping on the same frame, not whipping one frame after. What are we calculating? We're trying to figure out why short hops and like super short hops and all this weird shit exist. And we seem to be onto something here. Because it seems like if your last state was jumping, what I want to know is what are the rules? How does the game decide what to do to your velocity on every frame? That is what I want to know at the end of the day. How does the game figure out what velocity to give you at the end of the frame? And once we figure that out, we should be able to discern and like accurately predict what is going to happen every single time. It's confusing. Any better names? Do you think I know how to name things? How about we name it after we figure out what exactly is going on? Like what are the influencing factors? And then we try to name it. We know that one of the quote-unquote heavy state mechanics is if you are in the jumping state and not holding your jump button. We know that that is one of the mechanics. That's this one right here. So if I press jump for one frame and release it, this is like the first one. This is the first heavy state mechanic, quote unquote, is if you jump for one frame, but you lose it when you start falling. That's one of the key points here. You only keep this state until your velocity is negative, and you switch to falling, after which the game stops doing it. I don't know if that's because your velocity is negative or because your current state is falling, but in any case, that's what applies. It's only when you're moving upward. But it seems like there's something else you can do with this. Let me go show something with heavy state first. Let's go get a test dummy. You know what? I shouldn't put the test dummy over there behind the screen, so let's do it here instead. What's an enemy that won't make a bunch of noise while I test heavy state on it? Mummies will attack me. Angies will poison. I don't want to have to force anything. Pullback will make noise. Is there any passive enemy that you can bounce on? Maybe a helmet all might? Yeah, let's do a helmet all might. That'll work. Get him out of the way, that skeletal, before it kills him. Snake with... No, let's not do that. No, we can use a helmet all might for this. He'll just stand there and patiently wait for us to test things. So my understanding of heavy state is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to jump, I'm going to whip on the same frame, and I'm going to let go of both of them. So the numbers that we're getting there, this is the single, this is the single multiplier, the 0.8. And then we go to normal falling speed. So this is typical. We're not falling any faster. And then the key here, I think, is that it continues to apply that state when we're going upward, but not when we're going downward. So we're going to check everything here. So what is our current velocity? Let's do this nonsense again. So let's see, what exactly is this? Okay, that is bounce velocity. Then on our next frame, our VY2 is this value right here. So we went from that to that. So and that's VY2. So yeah, we have one application of the 0.8. Not what you were expecting. I didn't know what I was expecting, so we got that. And then what we're predicting the next one is going to be. The next one is going to be that. It's going to be about 0.88. And sure enough, it's 0.88. So this flavor of heavy state is just the same thing that happens when you're ascending. While you like were doing the whip thing. I don't think the whip affected it, in other words. The thing that the whip did do, however, is it allowed us to keep doing this the next time that we ascend. And we're going to be able to do this forever. And for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, let me show you a normal one first. This is what a normal bounce looks like. And this is what a heavy state bounce looks like. So it's a noticeable difference. It is only affecting your ascent, and then you fall at normal speed until you bounce. It sets you back to normal bounce height, and you ascend again. And you could hold jump to actually get more height off of this, and if you let go of it, you go back to heavy state. Notably, it's the exact same jump that you would get from this, so holding jump cancels out the 0.8 multiplier just like it would when you initially jump off the ground. So the other mechanic that can happen is a short hop, which is when you jump normally. Oh, shit in front of the chat again. And you whip before you start falling. That one's temporary. It only lasts until the whip ends. Heavy state's frame perfect. I mean, that's what we're trying to work out. I think heavy state is frame perfect, but I don't know enough about how it works to be confident about that. So let's make sure. Now, unfortunately, there are variables that are not exposed in Spelunky for the player movement. Almost certainly, one of those variables is responsible for what we're observing here, but not completely certainly. So let's do heavy state and observe what happens. Well, actually, let's jump first. So normally you go to the jumping state, you fall, and then you jump. And I'm alternating between... Actually, I'm only falling. I'm not even jumping anymore. I'm only falling. Because this doesn't count as jumping. Even if you hold jump, the jumping state is only until you start your fall, and then it stays in the falling state forever. What state are we in when we do heavy state? We're in the attacking state. Not only are we in the attacking state, we never entered the jumping state, according to the game engine, by jumping and whipping on the same frame. And then we go for falling, and it stays in the falling state. And whipping will actually cancel it, by the look of things. We keep heavy state, and then we lose it if you whip. Which I think is something I have had happen to me before, and I wasn't 100% certain. But it's good to know that now. Let's see, what can we infer from this? does this have anything to do with the attacking state, or does it have something to do with, like... Let's see. We're falling and we're attacking. We're falling... I don't think it's the states. I think there's something else going into this. Because we're in the falling state, and our last state was attacking. Same exact thing, but now I'm not in heavy state anymore. Did anything change over on the right? I'm actually bad at getting heavy state, by the way. Let me just frame advance it. Yeah, it's an unexposed variable. This is probably one of the unknowns in the player entity for things like movement. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. This one I think we can actually do. I really wish I had a better layout for this. Okay, let's see here. How do I want to do this? I think I'll play the game and tell you what I'm doing. And you can watch this. I think that'll be the way I go about doing this. Yeah, okay, chat, you'll watch the debugger screen. And I'll play the actual game in the background off camera. So what I'm talking about here with the player is all these like timers and values and stuff. Which of these could affect this? Let's see, there's that one there. That's not exposed. I wonder if any of these matter. I'm going to initiate heavy state. Let's just see what happens to these numbers. Pretend I get it first try. I mean, you can't see it, so obviously I got it first try. Alright, so we're in a heavy state bounce right now. Did that change anything in these exposed or unexposed variables? Those can use. I'm not seeing it. I thought there were more of these. Are these not... Is there something else to this that I'm missing here? Or is there a flag on the player entity? I suppose it's possible that there's a flag on the player. I don't know what it would be, though. Yeah, this is probably easy to check in the game, but let's look real quick. I don't see why any of these would matter. This one's usually just 7. And there's these two here. Oh. Oh, interesting. Hold on a second. There's actually one for this. This is recent. This didn't used to exist. So here's a question. What do we reckon this was added for? Okay, hold on. I need to look at chat. Somebody might be ahead of me here. Let's get my screen set up. No, I think I'm piecing together what's going on here. Short hop, you can very consistently stomp them. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't trust a short hop to kill Yetis. Heavy state didn't always exist. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at here. So here's the deal. Wasn't there a bug when this game came out where if you jump whipped, you got a max height jump even if you released your jump button? Do you think that this jank is the result of that bug fix? Let me back this out for a second. Let's test that that's the flag that controls this. Do you reckon that this is a bug that was introduced by a bug fix from the developers? So first of all, we can access this flag in the base game. It's right here. More flags. I I'm fairly certain, though not positive, that the flags are a 64-bit integer in the game's code. And we've split it into two 32-bit integers, because the thing is they filled flags like this all the way up to 32. And then for no particularly obvious reason, more flags just starts off like this. So I think what we're actually looking at here is there are 55 flags known to be used by the game right now. And this is just the second batch of them. And that would explain why this one is at the end. Like, this must have been a flag that they patched into the game after the release, and they just used the next open slot. So that's it. This is what controls it. It's not an unexposed variable. It is actually more flags 23 in Lua. It would be 22 if you were dealing with this in C. So let's do a little bit of sleuthing through the Discord. I'm not going to share this because I don't want to dox myself on this. I'm looking at the patch notes right now because I think this was a bug fix. I think heavy state was not possible when the game released, and this is just a poorly implemented bug fix. So now that we have that information, let's see. God, it's been a while since this game has been patched. It's probably a good thing. How do I find this? This was, I think, pretty early in the game's life. Discord, it'd be nice if you would actually, like, highlight the text that I searched for instead of just showing me the entire message that has it. It's gonna take forever to find this. I'm gonna give up on this if I can't find it quickly. I'm looking at like the earliest like released patch notes for this game right now. The thing is, I search for the word like jump or jumping, and then it's not actually highlighted in the search results because Discord is not a very good app. And I'm not able to figure out if it's actually here. I don't remember. I think I'm gonna just go with the theory that it was indeed something that they patched, if I can't find this in a moment. But it would definitely be like on brand for them to patch something and introduce a different bug. Luckily, the bug was actually useful to us. Well, mostly. Heavy state can actually cause problems occasionally, but it's usually a good thing. Yeah, I can't find it. Okay, let's see. Anyone in chat find it? Do I get a lucky break or am I on my own here? Oh, okay, you found it. Alright, yep, you found it. Patch 1.13. I don't even know where that was in my search results. I was looking for jumping, but I couldn't spot the word jumping in the patch. When was that? Like, what day did they release that? It should have the date next to, like, the version if it's on the Discord. Yep, alright, it was a very early patch. That's what I thought. That's release year, right? Like, that's back when they cared about this game? I think that's release year. This came out in, like, September or something. Yeah, but that's probably, yeah, 1 month after release. Back when they cared. So we have our answer for why this feature exists. It almost certainly didn't exist when the game released. But they added this flag right here. Which notably it's not doing anything, and that is probably because it also is reading off of my state. So I'm in the falling and attacking state. The game cleared the flag. Now I could set it. Infighting and misaligned elevators. Yeah, well, at least infighting is useful. Let's observe this flag. Yeah, that's what we need to do here. God, I wish I had an easier way to display this, though. I can't show this flag at the same time as my position. So we'll have to scroll down to look at it. I want to figure something else out, though, which is... when does this flag happen? Notably, it's actually set right now until I press my whip button. Wait, do you preserve heavy state if you walk off an edge? No, you don't. So it has something to do with the attacking state. Alright, so let's see if we can infer when this actually does anything. Alright, so we're standing. So if I press jump, and I let go of jump, I don't have the flag. So I think it has to be during the jump that you get that flag set, or else that doesn't happen. Yeah, we don't get heavy state from that. But if I jump for a few frames, then whip immediately, we still don't get the flag. So that was the one jump, then two whip. So if I jump for one frame, and then whip, it does not set that flag, despite getting the ultra fast drop. That flag isn't even getting set when I do that. There's more going on here. I think we figured out heavy state, but there's something else happening that's triggering this game mechanic. Like, how many layers are there to this? Okay, back to the jump whip thing, just for a second here. So if I jump for a few frames, and then I whip while I'm jumping, still didn't set it. What are the conditions for this? Do I have to whip first and then jump? The whip, then jump. It really is frame perfect. Why would they make a special case for this one specific thing? Was that the only thing that caused it? Was that really it? All right, let's be diligent. I'm gonna jump and then I'm gonna whip. Jump for one frame, whip for one frame, no heavy state. I'm gonna whip for one frame, jump for one frame, no heavy state. I'm gonna jump for 2 frames and whip on the second one. No heavy state. I'm gonna whip for 2 frames and jump on the second one. No heavy state. I'm gonna press whip and jump on the same frame. Heavy state. That's it, it's frame perfect. There isn't like a variant of the short hop. Like, you can get the short hop and still not enter heavy state. So to do the short hop here, which is like a frame later, jump, release jump, press whip. When I pressed whip, it cleared my short hop state. And although it looks like I should have heavy state, I actually had heavy state for the duration of the whip, which is what I think one of you said already, and then I lost it. Like, the instant the whip state ended, I lost it, and I went back to full height bounces. So that's interesting then. That explains a lot, because there was a lot of confusion here. I had people saying that the short hop isn't frame perfect. It's for one frame. You can do it. So let's do this like a human would, where I press jump for like 2 or 3 frames, release it, and then press whip. Like a frame after that. As long as I'm still whipping, I think it ended there. So let's see. I'm gonna jump for 2 frames, I'm gonna release for a frame, and then I'm gonna whip for, doesn't matter, I just hold it down. Yeah, you get a short hop from that. That's what it is. Yeah, it's easier with an enemy that's level with you because you don't have to fall in order to trigger it. This all makes so much more sense now. So there are 2 flavors of what we have been calling heavy state. So there's a short hop, which is hard to do with an enemy like this. Let me get the soul knight over here. Let me turn God mode on as well. Get behind him. That's the short hop right there that I just did. So if I run up to him, jump, and then whip after that, you see I got a little, like a brief heavy state. Which is good if you're trying to stomp like a snake or something in a speed run and you want to get back to the floor quickly. You might want to just do that out of instinct when you're like trying to jump on something and you know you need to hit the ground. It's not very difficult to do. Can you do it by holding jump? So if I hold jump and then whip on the second frame and then hold jump for a few more frames, which would be reasonable for a person to do. Yeah, you still get it. You don't have to release jump before your whip input. You just have to release jump before your whip ends. And you need to touch the enemy's head. So So it's actually really easy to do. You just jump, whip like just a little bit later. You could technically accidentally do heavy state and it would also work. But you just need to jump, whip like a frame later, and then release jump as fast as you can. And you should be able to get it pretty easily. Yeah, it's almost free. Like, I'm bad at this, and look at how often I'm getting it. You can sometimes get a couple bounces, it looks like, if you do it really precisely, and then it goes to normal bounces. So if you're killing a snake, you could you just short hop the snake. So I see the thing with the Yeti ceiling spikes. I assume you're talking about spikes on this ceiling right here. You don't have to worry about dying. I think this jump would kill you if there were ceiling spikes here. But a short hop would allow you to just stomp the Yeti and not go high enough to hit the spikes. This is interesting tech. I might incorporate this into my own runs if I ever play this game again. But then heavy state is the hard one, where you have to do them on the same frame, like this, which I just did here, but it's frame perfect. And you wouldn't even know if you did heavy state correctly. Or a sustained heavy state, as opposed to short hop, which... It's bizarre. Short hop results in a small bounce as well. This results in a permanent small bounce, but this actually isn't as powerful as the short hop. You higher jumps with spring boots? Is that a thing? Of course it is. Yeah, there's heavy state again. Yeah, our names for these are so damn inconsistent, and I just frankly don't know what to call them at this point. Let's see, before I put on springy shoes, let me think about what else I want to do. I'm going to test the spring shoes in a moment. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to look into here. Before we do spring shoes, remind me if I forget about it. We still have an unanswered question. Why does the short hop decelerate so fucking fast? Where you jump and then whip on the next frame. Why do you decelerate so fast in that state? Let me do it off an edge to see if anything different happens. So that flag's going to get cleared when I press whip, because I will not also be jumping on that same frame. Alright, here we are. So we're in the like super heavy state. Please do not call it super heavy state, but I'm just saying this is like the heavier state. The one where you decelerate really fast. It's still the same once you get to this point. So there is nothing that can make you fall faster in this game. Heaviest state. No, save heaviest state for if we discover an even heavier state than before. So for some reason, it is applying the multiplier twice. The multiplier doesn't seem to have anything to do with the jump whip state to begin with. Yeah, if only we could... it would be really, really cool if we could get higher gravity than what the game normally allows for. Or even move faster than the speed of light in this game, which is 0.4. No, maybe some point in the future. Technically, it's possible to have your velocity set higher than that, but the game will clamp it before it actually moves your character, so it's essentially limited to 0.4. You can't move faster than that without teleporting. The speed of light is 0.4. Somebody else made that joke, I think, in one of my earlier streams. But like, as far as this game is concerned, you either teleport or you move at 0.4. I don't think there's any other, like, thing in this game that can move that fast. Like, everything is clamped to that speed. If your speed is set higher for any reason, it gets clamped to 0.4 before your character moves. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You can get on a push block that is being moved, and then you can also run while it's being moved, and your speed will be more than 0.4 if you do that, like, overall. But relative to the push block, because funny relativity, it's still 0.4. It's a weird thing. It doesn't line up with, like, the actual real-world physics of how that would work. So the joke doesn't work very well. Once you, like, break it down, C equaling 0.4 in this game doesn't really track the way you'd like it to. how bad relativity would be a c equaled 0.4. Well, it depends. Are we talking natural units or like SI units? Because if it equaled 0.4 natural units, then oh god, I don't know what that would do actually. I mean, c is 1 in natural units, so look, I ain't no physicist. I can't really speculate what would happen. I don't know what happens if you change any of the physical constants. My recommendation would be do not change the physical constants, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a dumb idiot that does science in Spelunky, so who knows? Maybe something funny would happen if you did that. Or more likely, I would just have a worse ping to servers. Or none of this, or none of us would exist. I really have no idea. Don't provoke it. So back to this. I guess diagonally, yeah. Diagonally you can move faster than 0.4. Like they're measured independently, not together. So yeah, technically you can get the diagonal distance. But only in the diagonal direction can you achieve FTL travel in Spelunky. Let's see. What was I doing here? So I don't think... Yeah, I guess the point what I was getting at here is this doesn't matter. Yeah, C diagonal. Thankfully that's not really how our universe works. So if I jump and then whip, and this gives us like the heavier state. I need to stop calling it that, but this gives us the heavier state. The one that goes down by minus 0.01 and then multiplied by 0.064. Or no, just by 0.64 by itself. And you get back to the ground pretty damn fast when you do this particular heavy jump. Does anyone have any speculation as to why it would do that? Like, it doesn't even incorporate this bullshit. There's something else going on. Check if the gravity during the short hop is 0.8 or... This is the short hop, right? The one I was testing just now. Well, even calling that gravity is not... That's more of like a drag multiplier or something. Or, no, it's not even drag. I don't know what it is. Short hop as in landing on the enemy. Okay, during the short hop. Let's see. Spawn a funny old miner. So let me put him over... Get him over here. Okay, let's try a short hop. So this is going to be an optimal short hop. I'm going to jump and then I'm going to whip. Jump. Whip. I don't think I even... Ah, shit. I don't even make it to him. I might actually have to jump for a couple frames. I wonder if I can get enough height. Yeah, let's try it from really close. Jump. Whip. Barely. Okay, we do get it. So let's see. What's our velocity here? So that's bounce velocity. That's normal. That already looks like it's what we thought it was going to be, but let's run the numbers anyways, just to make sure. Yeah, that's the super heavy one. They got done twice. So for the duration of the short hop, you are getting the doubled up like velocity change. But when it ends, I'm assuming this is going to go back to normal, which is when my attacking state ends most likely. And I'm gonna switch to falling with attacking as my last state. Yeah, it went past 0.96 again. My attacking state is going to end before I land again. Yeah, and we're back to normal gravity now without the weird heavy state jank. Which I think I can then turn back on if I do this. Yeah, but I can turn it back on if I do this. But the thing is, again, this flag is just like, this is like an extra condition for one of the multipliers. There are 2.8 multipliers. This condition enables one of them. And not holding jump enables one of them while you're ascending. And then doing this weird short hop thing enables, like, both checks somehow. Like, I don't know how many there are. I don't know if there's, like, a third one in there. I don't know why there would even be two. Or if maybe like mathematically what they do is they have an if case that multiplies by 0.8, and then they have one later in the code that multiplies by 0.8 again that they didn't think could run at the same time as the first one because spaghetti code. That could also be what's going on. Physicists should take notes about heavy state. No, that only works in upwards velocity. Yeah, you can't do that. Heavy state is really just bad for rockets all around. I don't think we made the breakthrough that we needed to start around SpaceX. Spaghetti. I'm sure it's spaghetti. But I'm trying to... the problem is we're trying to figure out like where the strand of spaghetti starts and ends by just looking at the plate of spaghetti. It is incredibly difficult to do this. I still want to chip away at this for a little bit longer, but if we don't get anywhere with this, then I'm probably going to call it on this particular subject, and we'll have to do more research on this later, or maybe somebody can like debug what the game is actually doing with the player's like state machine. But I think my guess is that it is a combination of four factors. I think there's 4 factors that play into this. This flag right here, your current state, your last state, and your velocity y. I think those are the 4 things that are used to make the decision about whether or not it's supposed to do this jank. You want to see jump, nothing, and then whip. You need to do a short hop out of coyote frames. Probably. Let's do this first. So I'm gonna jump. I'm gonna do nothing, and then I'm gonna whip. I mean, it looks about the same. Do you want to see like the individual frames? Let me get this asshole out of the way. Let's do the individual frames. Jump. Do nothing. So we get the normal 0.8, and then whip. So we got 2 frames of the normal like 0.8 multiplier. Let's... You think I'd be able to type? All right, so that's our first one, and then what do we get? That looks like a double. I'm almost certain that was a double. I don't know why I insist on putting the 0.8 at the end instead of the beginning. Yeah, that was a double. So once the whip is engaged, it becomes like the heavier state. You think what frames 1 to 3 you'll have a single? Yeah, that looks like what you were saying. So the first frame of the jump was normal. I just get jump speed. I released it after that. So the next frame I decelerate. And then on the next frame I whipped, so I decelerate normally again because my whip state didn't apply when the first multiplier was done. And then after that we get the double state all the way until the whip ends. Could I make it spreadsheet? Yeah, that's where this is going, is the thing. Like, dude, like we need to like document this and put this, and just like understand like which states affect what nonsense. So what happens with keep holding jump? If I hold jump now, I think what happens is my velocity goes, yeah, I'm holding jump again, and my velocity goes back down to the normal one. Yeah, repressing jump makes you have lower gravity. It does that for every one of these. And it looks like it completely cancels out the effects of this nonsense. Yeah, it cancels both multipliers, but if I let go of it, let's see what happens. So here's our velocity. I'm letting go of it again. Let's see what we got out of this one. Yeah, that looks like what we got. So they both reapplied when I released jump again, and we went back to the original double multiplier. Which I think I'm just going to call heavier state until somebody comes up with a better name. So so if you hold jump, neither multiplier applies. If you release it and you qualify for heavier state, then you get both multipliers. You're on 18 possible jump height. There's probably thousands of jump heights, which, depending on when you whip, could actually be useful for certain short hops and things that you would want to do in a task, maybe with spring shoes as well, which is something I want to look into. I think all spring shoes does is give you a higher initial velocity, after which it's the same jump physics as before. But it might also give you an extra boost when you're like bouncing off of enemies. I don't know if you have to hold jump to get the spring shoes like height or not. Well, whipping and a jump. Like, adding a whip to your jump makes you start falling really fucking fast. Yeah, it's weird physics. I can show what this looks like for just clarity. So I'm holding jump. I release jump. I start getting dragged at normal, like, the 0.8 multiplier. If I press jump now, I go back to the 0.01. I can release it, I can press it again until I start falling. And you can actually, like, stutter your acceleration by releasing and pressing jump in the middle of a jump. Which almost has the bizarre potential to allow you to, like, jump up under corners by, like, deliberately suppressing your jump velocity and then allowing it to go up a little bit. It's bizarre. This is just such a strange thing. You stupid jump. I don't know if it affects stupid jump. Like, to be clear, you can't make your velocity go back up, like, after you do this. Your velocity is always decreasing, but you could change your deceleration, is the thing you could do. So, like, if you needed to decelerate at the beginning of your jump to, like, get under a ledge like this, like, just hypothetically for the stupid jump, like, not, I guess not to do the stupid jump specifically. Let's think of how this would work. So I could jump here to start a jump, and then let myself get dragged for a moment. And then once I'm clear of, like, whatever ridiculous collision, or maybe like an enemy, I was trying to avoid a bat or something, but I want to extend my jump, now I hold jump again. And what this has done is given me a longer jump where I wasn't moving up quite as much as I would have normally at the very beginning. Like, again, your velocity doesn't allow you to arc upward. That's never a thing you could do. It's just a matter of changing your deceleration. So I can extend my jump after initially falling faster if I want to by starting to hold jump until I reach my falling speed, at which point I lose control of it. It has task potential, and maybe if we find some other flavor of the stupid jump, it might also have potential for that. But I think for the most part with the stupid jump, you don't want to sacrifice much of your height. But it's tough to say, like, maybe doing the stupid jump where you jump and then release. I don't know, let's try that, I guess. Alright, so I need to input the stupid jump on this frame. So I'm going to jump. If you were whipping, you would get even heavier, like, mechanics out of it. I'm just wondering if you can get, like, a really bad stupid jump. Let's see. So this is a pretty bad stupid jump if I were to go for this one. So I need to input my jump on this frame. So I can input it once. It'll give me the 0.8. And then if I were to whip on this frame, did that buy me one additional frame? Like, this is really like a task viability thing. I think I would have bonked the ceiling on this frame normally. Now if I hold jump, do I have enough height to actually get up here? No, it's still not, it's not enough height though then. You lose way too much by doing that. I think the whip is too powerful for this, but let's see. Actually, does a short hop bonk your head on the ceiling? So hold on. So if you press jump normally, you jump for one frame and then you bonk the ceiling and your velocity gets set to 0. Yeah, right there. It bonked the ceiling. Actually, did that bonk the ceiling on that frame? I'm not sure. Am I touching the ceiling right now? I'm not actually sure. It looks like I am. Maybe I'm not. Maybe actually you don't bonk it until the very next frame. In that case, that doesn't really help. That doesn't delay how long it takes you to hit the ceiling. Well, I can check. I'm getting sidetracked here, but this is an interesting problem for the tasking. So if you hold jump for 2 frames, I believe I'm going to bonk on this frame. Yeah, it gets set to 0. That's interesting then. If you do a 1-frame short hop, you actually bonk the ceiling 1 frame later. But you lose so much vertical speed, I don't think you can do it. We can actually check without the stupid jump to see if you could even grab this ledge normally. So I'm going to jump for 1 frame. I'm going to release, and then I'm going to hold jump again. Yeah, you can't do it. If you lose that first frame of acceleration, you're done. You're not making the jump anymore, even if you repress it. So while it might have some applications, it's not going to be like a free stupid jump to do this. I think you want to do whip tech to get that. But speaking of that, somebody asked a question about the stupid jump. Well, we have a setup here. What was it? Can you short hop out of coyote frames? Okay. Not the stupid jump specifically, and I think the answer is probably yes. So that's my last coyote frame, because what's going to happen is on the next frame, it's going to decrement it to 1 and then check if I tried to jump. The frame after that, it'll decrement to 0 before it checks my jump, and it won't let me do an air jump. So this is actually my last coyote frame. So right here I jump, and then I let go of the button, and then I whip. Yeah, you can get a short hop off of coyote frames. Mechanically, it looks like it's the same. I don't know if that's useful or not, but you could definitely get a short hop off coyote frames. Maybe it's useful for something. Definitely for tassing. It's a thing to keep in mind. Yeah, if you can't grab the way I see that being useful for niche applications is like if you had an extremely tight jump with something above you, like an enemy, like a bat, that you needed to avoid, then you might be able to utilize that to dodge it without having to whip or throw an item or something or move around it. That strikes me as the application for this. You decelerate faster while whipping until you're falling, at which point we do not know how to fall faster. Can I make that jump 3 tiles wide instead of 2? I'll jump. This one? What are we trying to do here? What do you want me to test? Oh, you think it might tuck under the ceiling, but I mean, I think you could just jump like this. If I jump for like 2 frames. I mean, you don't need, okay, let's try 3. Okay, so I jumped for 3 frames there. The thing is, I don't know that you need to do that necessarily. Like you can clear this jump normally. Like if you just jump at a different time. Like the application would be if you were coming in from the TAS and this was all that you had to work with was like you just tap the edge before you start running. That's where it would have some application. If you like tap this edge and then you need to immediately jump into this gap, then it might be useful to do like a coyote frame jump like this. And that might not be possible otherwise. I'm not sure if you'd have room for that, but I could just check and see if you can do this normally. So if I was in this spot normally, do I need to wait or can I just jump from like right here? 1 frame jump. Now you still get through. So I mean it looks sick, but I don't know that I don't think it's necessary. If you just do a 1 frame jump from this edge, you'll always make it in. In fact, I almost didn't make it up onto this corner. So for this particular jump, no. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have potential for other combinations, just not this one. Because you can just short hop this if you wanted to make it in with the TAS and you wouldn't bonk the ceiling. Alright, I think we're all caught up here. So we still have an unanswered question, which is what actually matters for getting this state. So let's just do the first one. If you jump like this, and then you release jump. So I think this first 0.8 multiplier is triggered by being in the jumping state and not holding your jump button. That's multiplier number 1. That's the first thing that affects this. Be in the jump state, not holding your jump button. Once you start falling, it's irrelevant. And then how does this work? Okay, the bouncing off enemies is just you get more initial height from the bounce, but you don't have any more air control over your jump. Once you're not in the jumping state, that first multiplier just isn't relevant. It doesn't exist anymore. You'd use this tech to do the funny arrow whip. Yeah, we'll get to that. Maybe. Hopefully. The second thing, heavy state. This is that one specific flag down here. Jump whipped to short hop, which is what the tool devs called it. We don't know what the devs called it. But anyways, for this one in particular, I can actually also hold jump to change my height from that hop. In fact, I think the only thing that matters for getting that particular flag is that you are, let me whip here, is that you are holding jump and whip on the first frame. And then I can keep holding jump and I will keep that state. And then if I let go of jump here, then I start decelerating by what appears to be the normal amount. And then I keep heavy state. So heavy state doesn't require you to like release jump early or anything, which I didn't think it did because it would be really hard to do that otherwise. And you have the same control over it as normal. So it behaves like a normal jump, except it sets this flag, and this flag causes you to resume that state when you land on an enemy, even though you're no longer in the jumping state. But it doesn't stack, is what it seems to be. So you don't get like two multipliers when you're doing your initial like short hop jump or whatever they called it down here. You just get the one multiplier. And that makes me think that the check for that is you're in the jumping state or this flag is set, and that results in a multiplier. The question then is, where does the second one come from for this nonsense? So for this nonsense, you jump and you release your jump, and then whenever I press whip, this is going to apply that super heavy state, the heavier state, as I wish I wasn't calling it. Which results in that, which I just looking at that looks like the 0.64 multiplier. And that's happening as a result of being in the attacking and the jumping state at the same time. And it could be a situation where if you're attacking and your last state was jumping, maybe that happens. I wonder if you get this by like dismounting a ladder or something, or walking off an edge even. Well no, then you wouldn't get the height though, so it wouldn't matter. You need to be going upward. Check if grabbing a rope and then going back off the bottom of it without pressing jump preserves heavy state. You mean like sliding off of the rope? Or like just climbing down? Okay, you just mean climbing off of it. Now let's see. Alright, so what have we got here? Let me get the short hop. There it is. Alright, we have it. Yeah, so I can jump around, I can climb, I can do whatever I want. I still have that flag. And you want to know if this preserves heavy state. It's an interesting question. It does not. And I think the reason for that is because attacking needs to be in this combination. Because otherwise I could just walk, I don't even need the rope, I just walk onto it. And that doesn't work. And I think the reason why that doesn't work is because of the flag combination that you need for this to actually make any sense. Which I think the game wants you to have attacking. Ugh, I'm dying. I think the game wants you to have falling or attacking here in your states. I can actually change that. Let's just pretend I walked off the edge instead. So I think it's the move state. That's character state. Idle. Where are the character states? I want to pick one that's not going to do anything weird, is why I'm checking on this real quick. I guess standing is probably the one I want to use. Yeah, well, you lose it immediately. So we know at the very least heavy state, in addition to requiring this particular flag to be set, your last state needs to be attacking. Does your current state need to be falling? It's hard to say because you're not going to be able to really stomp an enemy like this without falling. Like all I could think is maybe like skimming upward. Current state attacking, it might. Alright, that cancels it. Let's test it initially. Let's see what it can do initially. Now I need to get an All Might that's somewhere I can work with. Alright, so let's see. So this is a heavy state jump. Yeah, that's definitely a heavy state bounce, but I don't know if that's because of this or because of the other like nonsense that we were doing here, because this could be a short hop bounce. I don't know if this flag is doing anything yet is the question. I guess what I could do is I can uncheck it and keep all of other factors equivalent, but I don't think that flag even does anything in this situation. Yeah, now we're getting heavy state bounces. Yeah, I guess that's not a short hop, actually, yeah, because I did it on the same frame. So it works if you're attacking or your last state is attacking, by the look of things. And if I press whip, it's going to mess this up. Now, if I throw a bomb to change my state, I wonder what happens. That's the other thing you could do besides whipping. So I'm in the throwing state. Okay, I didn't do it in time, but let's see what we get. I think this is going to cancel it. We still have the flag. Yeah, but we have normal bounces now because of throwing that bomb. Because now my last state is throwing. If I press whip, it's going to cancel that other flag, so that isn't going to help me. So I need to get the state back. And I'm going to throw the bomb right before I land this time. Alright, so now we're in the throwing and falling state. We get a full height bounce. I think the check for this... let's see if I've got everything together here. I think the check for this is either your current state is attacking and this flag is set, or your last state is attacking and this flag is set. Because that ruined it. Let's see, there's one more thing. It finished short hop, keep throwing bombs, or you could just get heavy state. So let's see here. So yeah, that's first state attacking. Yeah, so now we keep it. And the second I push attacking out of the other state, I'm going to lose this like bounciness. Even if I throw a bomb or something, it doesn't count as attacking. Can you initiate it? Yeah, I was gonna get to that. Let's see. So let's see, I'm going to throw a bomb. I don't think it'll work. I think it only checks the attacking state, not the throwing state. It didn't jump at all, actually. I guess I feel like I knew about this, because I think this happened when I was doing the tutorial one. You can't jump and throw a bomb on the same frame. It prefers the bomb. I wonder if it's the same for throwing. It's just state machine jank. You gotta love it. Couldn't have come up with a better way to program that, could we? Yeah, it's the same thing with throwing. Like, my jump just gets eaten. I just don't throw instead. It's only jumping and whipping that you could do on the same frame. Yeah, let's start jumping bomb. So jump, release jump, throw bomb. That looks like heavier state. Let me do that a little more slowly. Let's measure that one. You can't jump and throw on the same frame. So if I throw a bomb and then jump, it works. If I jump and then throw a bomb, it works. If I jump and throw a bomb, I don't jump because this game is stupid. And if I keep holding jump, it does work. So the thing is, most people are not going to notice this, but throwing the bomb delays your jump by a frame, is what ends up happening. So this is me holding bomb and jump for one frame. I only throw the bomb. This is me holding jump and bomb for 2 frames. It's this is why you wouldn't notice it. Like, this is one of those things that like a speedrunner would notice ruining their world record, but by and large, this is not going to happen to you because you need to press those buttons for 1 frame to actually get this to happen. So it generally doesn't matter. It still shouldn't be like that. You should just be able to do both on the same frame, but you can't. Does it buffer the bomb? Well, it doesn't. It buffers the jump is what happens. Or rather, it ignores the first frame of your jump, and then it still like allows a jump input on the second frame is what it ends up doing. So anyways, back to this. So we were testing this. So jump, release jump, bomb. Velocity is... Okay, so that's the first one that I would expect for releasing jump. Is that the slower... Is that heavy state or heavier state that we're seeing there? I think that's the slower one, right? Regular, yeah, it's regular. So it doesn't work the same way as with a whip. Because if you recall, the whip, jump, whip, yeah, this is heavier state. This is the thing we've been calling the short hop. Specific to the whip and the crown, it might be. I think heavier state is what I'm going with too. It's 2 applications of heavy state for falling or for decelerating. I don't fucking know, man. The problem is like the bouncing state, it was named short hop. So it's just like, I don't know what it is. These are all short hops because you decelerate faster while you're ascending. That's just what it is. And there are 2 layers to that. There's one that makes you heavy, which is what happens when you just release your jump early, and then there's a heavier one, which happens if you release your jump and then also whip. And those 2 things together, like, just contribute to you falling faster for some reason. And I do not understand why. I forgot what I was testing here. Yeah, yeah, so you get the heavier one only from the whip or the eggplant. Let's try eggplant. So first of all, this is jump and eggplant on the same frame. Now notably, the eggplant gets thrown later. So I press the button, and I go into the attacking state, but instead of spawning a whip, I go into like the throwing animation. That looked... Which state was that? That was just normal state, right? Yeah, that's heavy state. That's the normal one. It appears to be behaving the same way as the whip does. Now let's try it like this. Jump, release jump, then throw eggplant. Yeah, that gives you the heavier one. So I think it's the same. I think it's the attacking state. And it doesn't matter if you're attacking with your whip or eggplants. The game it's just the attacking state is all it's checking. So that's how you do like the super short hop that we've been seeing. Let's see, before I remove my eggplant crown, what else was there? Yeah, it can be used to initiate heavy state on Hunden. Because I think the game is just checking... Yeah, it's not even a jump whip. So it's the same exact thing. I think functionally the eggplant crown acts exactly like the whip, including throwing it, canceling your heavy state. Like once you've initiated it. Yeah, the key difference here is we can preserve this heavy state by bouncing on the All Might, but we can't preserve heavier state, is the problem here. But they're both heavy states. They're conditions under which the player falls faster. Well, not falls faster, but decelerates faster when they're like ascending, when their velocity is positive. We do not have any version of that can make you fall faster. You can only decelerate to 0 faster, and then it doesn't happen. Can we preserve heavier state with eggplant crown by spamming it? Probably not. I think there's downtime. Well, let's see. Well, what do you mean? I guess. Okay, I think I know what you mean. Let's do this with a. How do we? That doesn't make any sense though. The whip usually ends. Okay, jump. Okay, I'm throwing on this frame. But what do you mean by preserve it? It goes away when your velocity goes below 0 anyways, which is going to be the full duration of this, like, throwing animation. Like, I'm still in the animation, and it no longer does anything now. So what do you mean by preserve it? Or are you saying preserve the... Oh, okay, the short hop mechanic. So you're trying to preserve the short bounce. I think I know what you mean. You want to preserve the short bounce, because that's the other thing that this does for some reason. So let's get another All Might down here. If it worked with bombs. Well, let's do the first one here. So let's see. In order to get into this state, so I jump, throw eggplant. But I can't throw a bomb right now. There we go. Now I can throw bombs. I'm not sure what I'm expecting from this, but I've stayed in the throwing state. I was, however, in the falling state very briefly. Yeah, we get a full height bounce from that. I would rather those didn't kill my All Might. Okay, I knew that was there. I'm trying to articulate how this would work. Do that, but with Eggy. So let's see, how do we do this then? Throw. Interesting, it's actually shorter than the whip animation. Throw. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then this frame would be the one. So, throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if I were to press it now, nothing happens. I feel like there's always one frame of downtime, so I don't think this is going to do anything. So let's see, what are we trying to do here? Yeah, this isn't going to work, I'm pretty sure, but what are we trying to do here? I need to make sure I understand it. We're trying to preserve our attacking state, right? Like, that's the goal of this. We want to keep our jumping state and our attacking state. Yeah, stay in the attacking state. The problem with that is there's always one frame of falling before it'll let you, like, start throwing another eggplant. And that'll ruin everything. That'll go back to this just not working. Eggy's faster. Yeah, I mean it is, I believe. Whip's 20 frames, right? It's 10 back whip frames and then 10 front whip frames, and I think eggplant is just 10. Is it 18? I don't think it's 18. Are we done with the eggplant crown? Can I take this off? Just pull it off of my head. I think we are. It's this fucking shit. Let's see, what was the other thing you have to do to fix this? Or is this just like, there's something else you have to do to fix this, and I don't remember what it is. There's a flag, yeah, that's what I thought it was. Maybe not here, is it an effect? I mean, that's just a pickup effect, that's not important. I'm pretty sure there's a way to remove this, unless there's some other fucking weird flag we haven't found yet. Yeah, it took the crown away, but I can still throw eggplants. It's like my whip has been permanently replaced. I don't think... I'm just looking at the debugger thing again. I don't see any flags for this particular thing. Why can't things in this game just be programmed right? I don't see anything here. I don't remember how. Straight up deletes your whip entity, but there isn't a whip entity though. That's not a thing. You just spawn one in when you press the attack button. It's got to be something that's not exposed, or we're just missing something else. Because I'm pretty sure whip entity isn't a thing that exists. I don't think there's like an attachment to your character that allows you to like use your whip. I don't think that's how that works. Because the only things that are whipped, it's just these two here, and this entity spawns in when you press your whip button, and then disappears, like it dies after your whip is over. I think I just gotta restart the level, then we can get the All Mites back. Copy that. Luckily I have a seeded run going. Put back our little friends here. Alright, so we got our whip back. Just to verify, I'm gonna look at the debugger again and see if there's any whip entities in the level. I don't think there are. Yeah, there aren't any whip entities until I press the button. And then it spawns one in. You can see it has a higher ID than my player. Moves it over there and then deletes it. And the next one I get is the next entity ID. So like it's not like the whip entity got deleted. I don't know what it is. There's some flag that we haven't found, or I haven't found, that affects this. I just don't know what it is. Okay, yeah, where does this leave us? So let's see, we don't know how to preserve short hop, but I mean that's heavy state basically does that anyways. And we know that the conditions for short hop are that your last state was jumping and that your current state is attacking. Or I should say heavier state. These are the conditions for this particular combination, and I think we're at the point here where I might just need to like write this. Yeah, we'll try the arrow whip. I think we're at the point here where we just need to write this one down as just jank. The game has two checks at least that apply that like 0.8 multiplier when your velocity is positive. One of them is it's some combination of this jump whip flag right here, your last state being jumping, your current state being attacking, or in the case of the heavy state thing, I think your last state had to be attacking and you had to be falling. Like some combination of those checks result in up to 2 multipliers getting applied, and that's what causes this like super short hop thing, is that one of those combinations is the 2 multipliers stacked on top of each other. Most likely it's one part of the game multiplying your velocity by 0.8, and then a different part of the code, a different spot in the spaghetti, does it again for some different reason, and it stacks, and that's why you see the result that we have now. And for whatever reason it's a multiplier and not just like a flat increase to gravity or anything. Don't know why. I mean, maybe it feels better than it would otherwise. But any other questions about that, or can we go try the arrow whip now? Because this has been quite a detour we've taken here. I think I might end the stream after this one. So let's look into the arrow whip and then draw a conclusion to this science. I think it all makes sense. It makes as much sense, I think, as it reasonably could, given what we know about it.